Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'm excited today to start with you the first chapter or topic, and that is to introduce you to the concept of drug information. One of the first thing that you will learn today, what do we mean by drug information, and what are the services provided by drug information specialists, such as you as pharmacists, and what are the skills needed in order to perform the drug information responsibilities. You will also need to understand the factors that influence the ability to provide drug information. And also we need to look at something important, which is pharmaceutical technology and how this has helped in searching for the information, analyzing and providing drug information, whether to the patients that are seeking the information or to the healthcare professionals. At the end, we will talk about what areas where the drug information specialist can contribute. So what are these areas? What, for example, the job opportunities that you can get if you become drug information specialist. Basically, this course, the drug information and literature evaluation, will help you to locate information, analyze this information, synthesize the information, put together the information you take or adopt, and then responding to questions from whether healthcare professionals or patients. One thing I will always start with اللي هي not all information you see or you read about will be accurate. Okay, you will have to make sure that you are getting your information from reliable resources and the evidence provided are of good quality. Why I started talking about this, because what I need to tell you and remind you always, in court, for example, they say a man is innocent until proven guilty. For us, it's the opposite. The information we get about drugs and therapy and medication is not accurate or false unless it's proven to be accurate. This is very important thing that I want you all to know. اللي هي any information you read is false unless proven to be accurate. Okay, I'm saying this because in social media and on the internet itself, actually the amount of wrong information is much larger than the accurate information. And one reason, of course, is because many of these information are driven by money. يعني في هناك we have what we call conflict of interest. Okay, conflict of interest, of course, here it means instead of providing accurate information because we care about patients, we may provide false or not really accurate information in order to gain money. Okay, طيب, to start with, we need to emphasize that the opportunities for providing drug information has increased. As well, or the reason for this is because of expansion of services that are provided in healthcare systems. So we have additional services, and these services that we provide, one of the aims is of course to provide the best treatment, but also to reduce the cost. Okay, عشان هيك we have what we call pharmacoeconomics course, okay, which you will study later. So the services are expanding, and the pharmacist has great role to play in that. We need also, there is very important aspect اللي هي in we need to reduce the cost, but that is not on the expense of providing the best care available. Okay. Another thing where you are important as drug information specialist is that there is a rise in the self-care movement. Now many of you probably, and as a second year student, and maybe in public, they are sharing information through WhatsApp, for example, or they're getting information from the internet, and they are trying to apply that to themselves using maybe OTC drugs and products. So that's why you may actually find people who are asking you about something that they read, okay, because they are trying to take matter into their hands and they want to treat themselves. Maybe they hear about ginger, or they hear about cinnamon or something else that can have, for example, beneficial effects on weight or blood glucose levels, etc., and they want to try it. So you might actually find many of those lay persons, يعني العامين, general public, okay, who might seek information, whether to support the information they have from the internet or from social media, or refute that, or object to such information. طبعا what have increased or introduced, since probably 50 years or 40 years, اللي هي now we have technologies that support the provision of information. With technology, for example, the internet is not only for the pharmacist, but it's open also for the public, and that's why we need to be aware. And as I told you, any information we get, especially from the internet or from social media especially, we should consider them as false unless proven accurate. The technologies also helped a lot في hospitals, and nowadays you will find electronic health record, or what we call EHR, and it's better for you to remember this, where the diagnosis and the medication taken by the patients or prescribed to the patients are available even if the patient goes to another hospital. في عنا what we call electronic health record. في عنا telemedicine, and here we are talking about for example, you are in a rural area far away from the city, and they cannot, or the country cannot provide you with a clinic in your area, and you want to see a doctor, or you want to be monitored by a doctor, and this can be done through telemedicine. So you can meet the physician online, and the physician will counsel you or prescribe medication for you. Also the social media, and some of the social media are dedicated to certain profession. For example, you might have association of pharmaceutical scientists as in Facebook, for example, and that is dedicated to their group. Also, I want you to be aware of what we call computerized provider order entry, or sometimes they call it computerized physician order entry, or prescriber order entry. And this is a system which is available in hospital, and in this system you will see that EHR, our electronic health record of the patient, is integrated in this system, along with what we call CDSS, Clinical Decision Support System. And this is all of these things are put together in order to facilitate and speed up the prescription of the correct medicine to the patient, where this prescription goes to the pharmacist in order to dispense it to the patient in a timely manner. So what I mean to say is that the information technologies have changed a lot the way we provide the information, the way that we prescribe to the information to the patients the medication, and the way the pharmacist receive the prescription. Now we want to talk about the term drug information, and sometimes it is used interchangeably with another term اللي هي المedication information. So we have the drug information and we have the medication information. Although they are interchangeable, I prefer to use medication information. Now, why do you think I prefer to use the term medication information rather than drug information? You know, if you put these terms together, drug information and medication information, you will feel that when I say drug information, as if it is related to drug. For example, what is this drug? Paracetamol, for example. To what class it belongs. Okay, but when we talk about medication information, it's more general and encompasses a wider range of information. Not only I'm talking about a drug, but I'm talking about the whole therapy, the whole healthcare provision to the patient. So it includes maybe even what is the best treatment, what is the condition of the patient, etc. So it encompasses more or wider range of information. But when I say about drug information, it sounds a little bit narrow. So what do we mean by medication information or drug information? It's information. Now you need to memorize this. It's information that is either found in a reference, يعني textbook, journal, etc., computer database, okay, it's found there, or it's verbalized, يعني someone like me is talking to an individual about the medication. So I'm talking, for example, to my patient about medication. So this is drug information. Or I am finding this information, or the patient is finding this information in a particular place, like a textbook, and that is medication information. Okay. In any way, when we say drug information, there are three different things that are associated with the drug information. إذن مع drug information, what usually is associated with it? First, the person. مين هذا الشخص? Who's this person who's going to provide drug information? فإذن it can be, or he can be specialist, practitioner, pharmacist, provider. فإذن one اللي هو البيرسون. two السايت. وين هذا المكان اللي فيه drug information? It can be a center, a service, a practice site. And number three is the skills. Because if you put a pharmacist in a center without the skills or functions that this pharmacist is able to do, he will not be able to provide the information. And even without a center, no one might approach this person because he's not recognized. There is no place for this person. Okay, so these three things must be together when we talk about drug information. Another term which is very, very important, and I hope that in your training in the final year you will be exposed to that, اللي هي what we call pharmacy informatics. Pharmacy informatics. طيب شو يعني pharmacy informatics? Okay, what does it mean? طيب whenever we talk about pharmacy informatics, it should associate or integrate technology مع automation. Technology means what? Technology means for example the laptop, computer, اللي هو device, mobile, smart mobile phone, اللي هو tablet. طيب this is one thing. طيب it has to contain also the platform or the software that will allow different things to be integrated together. زي ما حكينا سابقا electronic health record, ال CPOE اللي هو Computerized Provider Order Entry, and as I said previously CDSS Clinical Decision Supporting System. طيب when these are combined together, it will allow you to better organize, analyze, manage, and communicate information medication on medication use in patients. Okay. إذا it provides great support للمedication use process. Okay. إذا pharmacy informatics he emphasizes the use of technology and automation as integral tool in effectively organizing, analyzing, managing, communicating information and medication use في البيشنت. طيب شو هي services that are provided by the drug information؟ في عنا خدمات كثير and you need to be aware of them and even to understand them well. طبعا with time you will build on what we are going to talk about في the drug information services. Number one, supporting clinical services with drug information. يعني you are in hospital and the physician is asking you for for information regarding the drug use. فإذا you are providing clinical service. طيب answering questions regarding medication whether from patients or from healthcare professionals. Okay. وطبعا of course usually the type of questions that are asked by the patients usually they differ from the questions asked by the healthcare professionals. طيب another very important aspect اللي هي to support and coordinate what we call pharmacy and therapeutics committee. بيحكوا لها ايش and you have to memorize this P and T committee. This is important committee in especially large hospitals. They have this committee. شو هاي الكوميتي? What is this committee responsible for? One of the main responsibility of this committee is to change, delete, add medications to the hospital formulary. تعرفوا any hospital okay will have drugs in this hospitals, will have medications. Okay. طيب what are these medications؟ طبعا the one that are approved by the Ministry of Health and Prevention. طيب حلو. طيب will they include all these drugs approved؟ طبعا لا. They will not include all the products. They will include the drugs that they need and they benefit from and they can prescribe. طيب what are طب في عنا new drugs that are approved. Do I add it? Do I get it؟ طبعا مين responsible for this؟ اللي هو Pharmacy and Therapeutics Committee. Okay. طبعا this is very important if they want to add a new drug to the formulary. Formulary يعني let me say the used medication في الهوسبيتال أو approved medication to be used in a certain practice area such as in the hospital. Okay, so this is very important committee. Another thing, as drug information specialist, you'll be educating other healthcare professionals on medication use policy. Okay, so when can I use this medication, for example, what cases? Or you cannot use it for just, for example, let's say antibiotic. Okay, we have so many antibiotics. Okay, some antibiotics are new, so to which cases do we use such antibiotics? So we educate them about the medication use policies. Another very important thing, and you will learn about it, اللي هو evaluating literature. And see here, critically evaluating literature. عشان for example, as I said previously في Pharmacy and Therapeutic Committee, اللي هو to make formulary أو إنه patient specific decisions. Okay, for example, can we give this patient this medication? Okay, is it worth it? Is it worth to try it? Okay, in order to determine that, I might need to go to the literature and evaluate the literature for that. طبعا what you are going to practice, inshallah, you will practice several things, including evaluating the literature in the journals. So we are going to look at journals and evaluate the literature في journals, and this is considered as high task. Okay, if you are able to do that, you'll be able to reach a good level of critical thinking. Okay, طيب, also like drug information center, we might have drug information and poison center. In case there is poison center, then we can provide the requester, الشخص اللي بيسوي request لا information about, for example, toxicity. Someone has taken so many medication pills and he's having toxicity. What should be done? How do we deal with such cases? Or maybe household held materials, for example, Clorox, okay, or Dettol or something like that. So in such case, the Poison Information Center can answer the requester on what are the aids to be provided to the person who's maybe poisoned. Okay, another important thing is publishing. Okay, and as well as editing information. Yani if I give you a piece of paper in which there is an article and I tell you edit this one, so you should be able to edit the information and make it professional. This is very important thing, and from now I'm telling you, I need each one of you to prepare a mini review. This is very important. I know it's not like a small task, it's a big task, but it will be very beneficial for you in the future, especially when you want to do your project. Okay, now if I tell you, okay, write a review يعني it's not a research paper, it's you are reviewing something, and this something must be a hot topic. Okay, for example, let's say, for example, you want to know what is the effect of online or distance learning على on the خلينا نحكي comprehension of the student and the performance of the student. هل صار لها decrease ولا it's good as the face to face. So there it must be a hot topic رقم واحد. So don't choose just any topic and say, okay, I want to do on, for example, diabetes, sukari. No, that's a very, very big topic. So your topic must be focused on specific thing. So I want you to prepare this mini review, and you'll be able to submit this mini review after the midterm. And if it is in good shape, and I think few will be able to reach a high standard, then I will take it from there. I will do some editing maybe, and then I will send it to a journal for publication. Okay. طيب. فإذا you should be able to write professionally and communicate professionally the information. Also, you can provide education maybe to your students, okay, experiential education in the training. يعني in the training, one part of your training will be about drug information مثلا. Also, you may participate in journal club. For example, one of you, Zubaida or Sarah or someone else, or Yara, and she wants to be the editor of a journal club, and she will publish in this journal some articles about medications or diseases. طبعا not alone, she will not do all this by herself. Of course, she will receive articles from her classmates, and they will do a journal club. And the job of Yara or Sarah will be to edit and review the information they receive from her classmates. I already told you about formulary management initiatives, developing guidelines. For example, what do we mean by guidelines? What are the types of guidelines? Guidelines will allow the physician and the pharmacist to pursue a certain process when dealing with patients having a certain disease. For example, now you are aware of infection with COVID-19. Okay, someone with COVID-19, what do you do with them? Do you just try medications, or is there a guideline that helps you to know what exactly to do depending on the patient's conditions? Pharmacist or drug information specialist can help in the development of such guidelines. Also, you'll be able to analyze, and here, in order to do the analysis on the benefits of clinical intervention or giving a therapy, the benefits and the economic impact of using maybe a drug. You can analyze that, and of course you should have a good statistical background to be able to do that. عشان تشوفوا البنفيتس تحللوا, and also the cost, okay, and you do your analysis. Also, you can do a medication use evaluation and other quality assurance activities. يعني for example, a certain drug, how often it is used, by who it is used, what is the cost, etc. Also, you can manage drug shortages. يعني for example, you will see that your hospital is always short of a certain drug, so you might need to increase اللي هي ايش the procurement of such drugs, or you might need to store such drugs in large quantities in your facility. So there are many things that you need to do to manage drug shortages and avoid that or probably overcome such problems, maybe by using alternative things, etc. Also, you can have a role in investigational medication use, and you will learn this later. في عنا اللي هو الانستتيوشنال ريفيو بورد. هاي الانستتيوشنال ريفيو بورد, and we have one at our university. It's called Research Ethics Committee. Okay, الانستتيوشنال ريفيو بورد بتكون مسؤولة, it's responsible for approving the use of investigational drug. لما نحكي investigational drug or medication معناته it has not been done before. Probably, for example, طبعا, I'm giving an example. You have a new drug, so they want to see whether it's effective or not. So they need to do a clinical trial, and in order to do clinical trial, they need approval from the appropriate authority to carry out such clinical trial, in order not to subject the participants with undue harm. يعني يأثر, نعطيهم دواء بعدين they die. Okay, and probably you heard about cases where they stopped the clinical trial because someone died and they needed to know why. Is it because of the drug they gave or something else? So institutional review board will review the trial protocol and the drug itself, and see whether it's according to ethical standards or not. Okay, you might also give such information about investigational medication use to practitioners. For example, a practitioner can ask you, is there any new vaccine for COVID-19? Okay, that is under investigation, other than the Chinese and the Pfizer and the other vaccines. Okay, also you might be responsible for reporting adverse drug events. Okay, there is a new drug and you want to see whether there is any adverse drug events, and this recording will be very important. Also, you can be a consultant في pharmacy informatics. ممكن you are working in a hospital and they ask you, okay, we need pharmacy informatics, we need a system. So what this system should be, which system do we use, what are the problems, will it cost us a lot, is the benefits overweigh the cost, etc. So this will be also one of your responsibilities. Also, you will be ensuring and implementing any change in the medication use policies. إذن what we talked about so far هي some, not all by the way, not everything, but some of the services that are provided by drug information specialist. طيب, evolution. What we mean here, how the drug information grew, يعني كيف نما. Okay, طبعا nowadays there is more time spent in educating students about drug information in order to be able to answer complex questions. طبعا nobody expects that Zubayda or Yara or Sarah or Haneen or anyone else, no one expects you to memorize everything. Okay, especially that every day there are a lot of literature added في الفارماسي field والhealthcare areas. Okay, لكن okay, as I told you, nowadays there is more time spent in educating the students how they can deal with the questions. In a survey, they found that the majority of hospitals having beds more than 600, they have drug information center in them. يعني في هاي الهوسبيتالز large one you will find an office that is formal office, okay, where drug information is provided. Okay. طب والsmaller hospitals, don't they have? Usually they have, but they don't have a formal center. Okay. They have, for example, they appoint a pharmacist or someone else who's specialist like physician who can provide such information but without يعني center. طيب هاي الهوسبيتالز خلينا نحكي اللي ما فيها drug information center, they found that in 97.2 cases, whether, by the way, whether it's a small hospital or large hospital, the pharmacist was available to answer drug information questions. He's the most frequently asked person about drugs. Remember that you are the boss of the medication, you are the boss of the drugs. اوكي الفيزيشيان هو البوس تاع الدايجنوسز، البوس تاع السيرجري، but you are the boss of the drug and you should know this. يعني when you look at the drug, think that you yourself you made this drug, okay, and act like that, because what they are trying to do now is they are trying to remove from us the privilege that we had long time ago, that we are the manufacturer of the drugs. We are making the medication, we are making the drugs. It's not only we are giving care to patients, but we are doing them, we are manufacturing them, we are responsible for them. Okay, so you are the medication boss. That's why pharmacists are the main personnel to consult about medications. Okay. Okay, another thing which impacted the drug information service اللي هي there is a need to decrease monitoring. يعني إذا أنا أعطيت, if I give wrong medication to a person and there is side effect, I will ask him to do lab test. But if I give him the right medication and he's benefiting from the medication, I will not, for example, need to do laboratory tests. Also, I will not have to give additional treatment because I already gave him the right medication. So I will not switch to another medication and start like trial and error. So I will give this person the right medication. Another thing which also impacted the drug information services اللي هي we need to reduce cost. We need to reduce cost. Okay, in order to reduce cost for the hospital and also for the patients, we need to reduce monitoring, we need to give the right treatment, the cost-effective treatment. Also, another thing which influenced the drug information إنه في هناك now, as I told you previously, investigational drugs. طيب شو هاي investigational drugs? As I told you previously, it's a new drug which is in clinical trial, especially in phase 3, where they recruit patients who are having the disease, okay, and they want to see whether the new drug will be effective in managing this disease. طيب شو البنفيتس انه انا اعرف عن هاي الشغله؟ If I, as a pharmacist, if I know about this, then if there is a patient and I don't have a medication that treats him, or the medication that are available, they are not 100% effective in this patient, and I can ask this patient to volunteer في الترايل, and the benefit is انه في هذا الترايل the patient will not pay anything, and who's paying for everything is the manufacturing company. It will pay for the patient and it will cover the patient with health insurance, etc. Okay, Another thing is which affected the evolution or which impacted on the evolution of drug information اللي هي they found في commission مسؤولة في USA اللي هي study commission on pharmacy حكت انه الفارماسيست are essential في الهيلث كير. They are essential and they have important contribution في الهيلث كير system. اوكي اذا حتى الاديوكيشن صار يحكوا you have to include في الكوريكولم تاعكم. هذا طبعا في اليو اس اي you have to include في الكوريكولم تاعكم about drug information. You must do that because the pharmacists they are the best to provide consumers اللي هم patients consumers will healthcare professionals of the right information about the medication and the drugs. طبعا the pharmacist role has evolved كexperts في الهيلث كير. Now they are counseling patients, they are answering drug information questions, they are reviewing patient medication regimens if there is any potential problems such as contradiction, adverse effects, drug-drug interaction, and they assist patients in managing their chronic disease such as diabetes. واحد معاه diabetes أنا I have to know how I should advise the patients regarding this chronic disease. Okay, طبعا it's not only medication but even the lifestyle for such patients. كمان من اللي يعني helped in the evolution of drug information اللي هي educations. Now we are educators. We can present information to a certain class of patients. نسوي لهم presentation. I will call diabetic patients and I will present them with information about diabetes because the more you educate them the more they will manage their chronic disease. Or طب هذا للpatients. Can I educate other professionals? Yes, I can, for example, lecture nurses about diabetes, especially nurses who are dealing with diabetic patients. Okay. Also, I can educate them about any question they ask. يعني they ask me question or I receive many questions of certain type, I can in this case educate them about that. But in any case, and you will learn this later, if you receive a question you should get background information. يعني واحد بيسأل for example does cinnamon reduce blood glucose level. طب سألني هيك خلاص أروح أدور؟ No, I have to get who's the patient, did they go visit the doctor, what is their blood glucose level, etc. And at the end you need to determine what is the exact questions because usually at the start they ask a question but when you dig deep you find that there is another question that really they want to ask. Okay, فإذا after getting background information you will determine the true questions. طيب حصلتوا على questions, what type of question is it? So I need now to go and search for information. So where do I search? Do I open the internet and type the question? وبعدين whatever comes then I will look at it and I will give it to the or respond to the requester. لا, you should know where to go exactly because you don't want to waste your time. So you should have search strategy, and then when you get the information, and usually you might get it from more than one source, you need to compile them together and then respond. طب in order to respond you should have good communication skills and writing skills as well because the response might be in a written format. not as verbal. Okay. طيب we talked about skills. شو هي هاي السكيلز that you should have كدرug information specialist؟ First, ability or availability of information that you need to access. For example, you need to access drug information database. وهنا بقصد فيها platform, and we have that. We have what we call lexicom, and inshallah I will talk about this because you are going to use it. This is drug information database. It has a lot of information, reliable information, good quality information about drugs. إذا أنا ما راح أروح على الإنترنت وأطبع وأشوف ويكيبيديا and then I say okay this is the information. لا, I have to know where I need to go. فإذا we have lexicom, and this database can provide you with drug information. And also you need to have patients' medical records, because you need to relate the drug information to the condition of the patient. طيب إذا skill إنه to be able to access database, drug information database, patient records, or if you don't have access to patients' medical records, you should have a good background on the case that you have. Also, you should be able to assess how urgent the information is needed. هلا لازم بدنا اياه مستعجل ولا it can wait. طيب usually هلا مستعجل, now it's urgent in one case, and that is في حالات البويزن. Okay, that's the urgency, it's urgent. In most cases it can wait 1 day, 2 days, or even more. كمان من السكيلز that you should have اللي هي انه formulate the appropriate question. زي ما حكيت لكم, usually I will start with a question, but when you dig deep you find that the true question is something else. يعني for example, I'm telling you, does cinnamon reduce blood glucose level? Okay, after asking me, you wanted to know, the true question is, what is the best herbal drugs that can reduce blood sugar. مثلا شوفوا تغير الكويستشن وطريقة التغيير وطريقة السيرش تتغير. بالاول كانت سبيسيفيكال على السينامون، يعني if I answer him no، لو انا بعدين دورت وحكيت له لا it does not، بيحكي لي طب ها شو الهربال برودكت ممكن تنزل، which herbal product can reduce blood، ها بصير سؤال تاني بروح ادور مرة ثانية. no, I need to know what is the ultimate question, the real question. After I know that and I categorize the question, whether it's about you know, mechanism of action, about side effects, about what exactly, then it will allow me to do a systematic approach to search to get the information. I know where to go because I know the category of this question. After I go maybe to one source or more, I have to put the information together and evaluate this information. يعني I will take the information and evaluate it critically. يعني I need to know whether the information I got is reliable or not. If you go to the internet, I'm telling you, in most cases drug information is not accurate, at least not completely accurate. فإذا you need to evaluate the information you see. And remember that when you get the information, you might be writing information other than or more than required for answering the question. يعني you may be collecting other relevant information. ليش؟ Because you might anticipate that when you respond to the question, the requester might ask additional questions, so you will already have them. You will already have the answers for them. Okay, so other relevant information will be gathered. Then you will summarize, you will organize, you will synthesize your response, and then you need to communicate that clearly, whether as speaking يعني verbally or by writing. Okay. طيب, another important thing that you have to write at a level that the requester will understand. يعني if I respond to a physician, my response level and sophistication will be different than if I am responding to a lay person, to someone in public. Okay, he's not specialized في healthcare. طيب, you should anticipate other information that you might be asked about, and you may need to do follow up. Okay, follow up يعني you might, depending on the case, you might need to call after 2 days to follow up with maybe new information that you received. Okay. Also, one of the skills that you should have اللي هي precepting students. يعني suppose you are working in a hospital. Okay, inshallah, you graduate as a pharmacist and you are working in a hospital, and they put you in a drug information center or as a specialist in drug information. When we send our students to your hospital, when you are working there, you might be responsible to train our students for the drug information. Okay, whether in patient care or pharmacy environments. طيب, what are the factors influence the evolution of pharmacist role as a drug information provider? شو اللي خلى الفارماسيست يصير important ويصير الرول تاعه أعظم؟ ليش إحنا قرأنا why did we read before that in many cases إذا بتتذكروا 97.2% of the hospitals reported having a pharmacist available to answer drug information questions. Okay, شو اللي خلى هاي الشغلة؟ Why? Okay, one of the things was related to adverse drug events. They needed someone to report adverse drug events. وفي عنا بالFDA, for example, في أمريكا, they have a website dedicated to reporting adverse drug events. Inshallah, later you will see that. Okay, who will be reporting that? Someone طبعا the one who reports to FDA. واللي في FDA receiving the report, okay, they need to be drug information specialist to understand the case. طيب, إذن شو اللي خلى evolution impacted the evolution of pharmacist role اللي هي the need to report adverse drug events. وجود التكنولوجي, integration of health information مع التكنولوجي. اوكي, اذا صار عندنا تكنولوجي مع drug information مع بعض. So we may have, as I discussed previously, pharmacy informatics. إذا كل واحد must know what do we mean by pharmacy informatics. And as I said previously, use of technology and automation. وحكينا سابقا على ال EHR electronic health record والCOBE. Okay, لكن التكنولوجي is also or clinical decision support اللي حكيت لكم عليها, clinical decision support systems, okay, are incorporated في هاي الدرج الفارماسي informatics. pharmacy informatics بيكون فيها clinical decision support system, بيكون فيها computerized provider order entry, بيكون فيها electronic health record. So they are integrated together, okay, in order, as I said before, to facilitate اللي هو diagnosis والprescription of the right medication, reducing adverse effects with medication errors. I already talked about clinical decision support system, which is a computer program that analyze ال EHR electronic health record يعني the condition of the patient, okay, and allows the physician to build on that and prescribe the right medication. طبعا مشكلة السي دي اس اس اوكي اللي هي ايش؟ انه it gives you many alerts، ضلت تبعتكم alert. Okay, no, you cannot do that, you cannot do that, you cannot do that. Okay, remind the patient, remind the patient. فهذا في صار بصير عند الواحد بسموها alert fatigue، يعني بوصل مرحلة اوكي هاي كثرة الالرت اللي بتطلع the person will reach a stage where he will just go on clicking سكر close 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 any alert close without reading what is this alert، فبيحكوا له alert fatigue. طيب طبعا the overall aim of pharmacy informatics اللي هي حكينا reduce errors, medication errors, prescribe the right medication, reduce the need for monitoring, reduce cost, reduce the length of stay in the hospitals. طيب drug information resources والاب الابس اللي هي الابليكيشنز as you know. طبعا الانترنت حلو، it allows to easily access scientific literature, government publication, news reports, etc. okay, لكن زي ما حكيت لكم where do I access from where؟ if I just do Google search that's a problem. I need to know which website do I go, what information I can take, which information I have to assess and critically analyze. Okay, but in any way the internet with smartphones or tablets allowed the personnel such as pharmacist and physician to provide the care at the place of the patient. يعني لو أنا معي desktop, okay, which now I'm doing my lecture through a desktop, so I cannot now take my desktop, you know, carry it and go maybe to another place. But if I'm doing this with my smartphone, I will be able to go anywhere, university, hospital, and use it there. Okay, with the availability of internet and the gadgets, the smartphones with tablets, and if I have the right applications, then I will be able to provide healthcare to the patients at the point of interest، وين ما بدي، وين ما البيشنت موجود، at the same place where the patients are available. طبعا كمان السوشيال ميديا زي ما حكينا فيسبوك، تويتر، لينكدين، etc. البلوجز، professional organizations, they are helpful في conveying the drug informations and providing the drug informations easily. كمان nowadays I can do, let's say, a seminar or an educational presentation, okay, to healthcare professional through what we call webinar live بيكون. إذا بدل ما الفيزيشيان يجي لعندي okay في from Abu Dhabi to Ajman for example, and instead of that traveling from one city to another, he can stay at his place in Abu Dhabi and I can give him continuous education via computer, through the computer. زي ما هلا you know using Zoom for example in Moodle, which is linked to Moodle, we are using Zoom in order to give you the lecture. So I am in my maybe office or in my apartment, and I'm giving you the lectures face to face. يعني مش face to face, I mean online. Okay, but I can see you on face if I like. طيب drug information availability. طبعا it's very important that the information is readily available. And as a pharmacist, let's say you are working in a hospital or you are working in a pharmacy, this is very important, especially to know when there is a new medication becomes available commercially. لأنه هذا the new medication can make a big difference to some patients. Okay, if there's a new medication for maybe better managing a disease, it can make a difference. So I need to access such information. طيب, if a product is withdrawn, I need also to know such information. Because if it is withdrawn, then I should not be using it. Also, if there is a new study indicating that I should not use a certain medication, I should not use that. فإذا I need to access such new study. طيب, how do we access it? In long time ago, we used to access these resources by traveling maybe to the library and then opening the textbook or the journal and reading it. And what is the problem? Not only the efforts we spend doing these things, but also the lag time between the appearance of such information and its publication as hard copy. بينما with the presence of internet, you can access the electronic journals immediately in your place, and the information will appear much faster than or compared with the hard copy. فإذا هل التكنولوجي أثرت؟ Okay, yes. طيب, الفارماسيست طبعا هون must be handy with these things. يعني must be knowledgeable about the internet and the use of search methods, etc. Must be good in using the applications. Okay. Okay, من الwebsites that allows you to access to a good or quality type of information. في عندنا البubmed. Okay, والpubmed mainly allows you to search journals in biomedical fields. Okay, in order to get to the primary literature. Primary literature يعني the works that are published في الجورنالز. اوكي, بيحكوا لها primary literature. فاذا the PubMed can allow us to access the primary literature. اوكي. بالنسبة للتكست بوكس, ف the textbooks طبعا we have printed, but we have also online version, but this will need subscription and it will cost money. The use of PubMed, it's free طبعا. في عنا textbooks, few textbooks that are available as free, such as Merck manuals. Another thing which I want to talk about اللي هو if you remember when I talked about investigational drugs, طبعا how would you know about clinical trials that are being planned عشان maybe you want to volunteer or you want to ask your patient to volunteer, or you want to ask a physician to ask his patients to volunteer in this clinical trial. One of the most common and the most important registry for ongoing clinical trials and planned clinical trials اللي هو هذا الويب سايت. and you will need to use it inshallah. It's called clinicaltrials.gov. Clinicaltrials.gov. Okay. So all of you will need to use this website, and I'm asking you now to go to this website and see what does it contain. You will see, let me actually show you. Clinical trials. اوكي طبعا بتيجوا هون. This is the clinicaltrials.gov. شوفوا هون all studies، او بدي الريكروتنج هلا بسووا ريكروتمنت، او اللي لسه بلان not yet recruiting بدي اعرف عنهم. Okay, I can choose here. Oh, I want to know about all studies. Then I can add the condition or the disease. I can add, in which countries. So let's say I want to talk about, or I want to search about not COVID-19. I want to search about insulin resistant inhalation. يعني instead of injecting insulin, why don't the diabetic patients inhale insulin in order to get the effect of reducing blood sugar? Let's say I want to look at recruiting or not yet recruiting studies, and then I do a search. Okay, طبعا هنا you can filter if you like, but anyway, let me see. No studies was found. Okay, I can say all studies. Insulin inhalation. شكلهم بطلوا يسووا. شوف هون مكتوب لي 71 studies found. اوكي يبدو انه كلهم completed. شوفوا هون بيحكي لنا completed. هنا بيحكي لنا اللوكيشن. هنا اللي بيحكي لنا شو الكونديشن كانت that was in the clinical trial، وشو هو الانترفنشن، يعني what did they use اوكي كميديكيشن. اوكي فهذا terminated و has results. اوكي فإذا I want you to look at this important website, and this will allow you actually to look at new therapies. Okay, that you can anticipate. يعني لما تشوف الكلينيكال ترايل فيز 3 خلصت لدواء you can anticipate, oh okay, this might come to the market. Okay, this is good. طيب, accuracy of drug information on the internet. As I told you previously, when you search the internet and you find drug information, always consider the information false. انتبهوا again and again and again. False until proven ايش؟ accurate. طيب, في عنا طبعا الويكيبيديا. It's very famous. I like it personally. But a study found that Wikipedia information might be narrow in scope, and there is some errors of omission. يعني maybe they don't include all the information. طب أنا كيف بدي أعرف إذا الويب سايت is good or no؟ طبعا في هناك different ways, and I will talk about that later. بس في عنا we have what we call health on the net. HON, health on the net. هاي non-profit organization. Let's say Yara, she wants to create a website and she wants to post في هذا الويب سايت drug information. طيب يارا يعني مخلصة، يعني she's doing a good job and she's only putting the right information and she has no financial gain from هاي الشغلة, or she might have financial gain, but in the end it's an accurate information. طيب كيف بدها تحكي للناس it's accurate? If she wants to prove that, one of the things she can do is contact an organization called Health on the Net. هاي الهيلث on the net, they will assess the website and they approve Ragad or Yara website, then Yara or Ragad they can put ايش the logo of Health on the Net عندهم, فبصير اي واحد بروح عليهم يشوف Health on the Net بيعرف انه ايش this is an approved website, it contains good information, accurate information. okay. طيب هل هذا يعني انه anything that does not have Health on the Net logo, خلينا نروح على Health on the Net فرجيكم اياها. طيب هل هذا معناته anything that does not contain Health on the Net خلص معناته انه it's not accurate؟ تشوفوا Health on the Net a non-profit organization promote transparent and reliable health information online. search, شوفوا عن خلالها بتقدروا تسووا search ل reliable website, okay, that contains reliable information. طب anyway, another website اللي هو اسمه Quack Watch. Quack Watch كتير على الويب سايتس بتلاقوا or on the internet you find misleading information. فأي طبعا وبعضهم مثلا بيجي بيحكوا لكم على product مثلا باسم معين this reduces weight in 1 week على الأقل you lose 7 kilograms etc. بتروح على Quack Watch and they sometimes okay look at such product and they say whether this is a fraud or not, يعني scam ولا لا, just to pay money or not. okay. طيب another thing that influenced the role of the pharmacist ك drug information provider اللي هي now there is focus on ايش evidence based medicine و drug policy development. طيب evidence based outcomes اللي هي زي ما حكيت لكم you need when you want to use a medication this use must be supported with evidence and this evidence must be from current research that shows that this drug is effective and it can produce the required results. Also, don't forget that in addition to the current clinical research, also the professional expertise can count and the patient preference. Okay, in some cases you know the clinical research might tell you okay this drug is better than the other, but maybe the patient does not like the drug that sounds better because you know the other drug may be more effective but it has or it's not convenient for the patient. يعني مثلا insulin injections are more effective than insulin inhalers, but maybe the patient does not like injections so the patient can go for insulin inhalers مثلا. فthis can play part in choosing the medication. Another thing which increased the role of the pharmacist كدرug information specialist اللي هي sophistication of therapy. Now we don't say okay give him any non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug such as ibuprofen. لا, you have for example drug that what we call them COX-2 inhibitors, selective COX-2 inhibitors اللي هم زي Vioxx. Okay, and these drugs for example can prevent irritation of the stomach. فصار في عندي sophistication هلا. I need anti-inflammatory drug, yes. Non-steroidal, yes. But I need it to be selective. فمعناته therapy صار sophisticated. صار في عندي wide selection. Which one is better? Another thing is for some drugs, maybe 100 or over 100, in order to specify the dose, you need to do pharmacogenomic profiling. يعني for example, we have what we call slow acetylators. الإنزيمات عند certain people زي for example Saudi Arabia بيحكوا لهم slow acetylators. طيب I cannot give them certain drugs, I think like isoniazid. I cannot give them as someone else who's classified or categorized as fast acetylator. Okay, so what I mean to say here انه you need to first to know your patient, what is his enzymatic conditions. وبتعرفوا الانزيمز بتاعت الليفر are created in the beginning by the DNA. okay, with DNA في two strands او في عنا لاي شيء في عنا two chromosomes, وهاي الكروموزومز one come from the parent, the other one come from the other parent, and that's why we have two things for each one. If someone is wrong, مشطوب يعني is faulty, the other one is working. If the both are faulty, then there is a problem. لما احكي faulty, it means maybe they are producing at lower pace, maybe they are not producing at all, etc. فهذا كله في ايش؟ I need to do profiling before I give, for example, a drug for blood thinner, like for example clopidogrel مثلا. I need to know what is the patient I'm dealing with. Okay, what's his genetic profile, because this can affect the metabolism of the drug. فإذا for some drugs now the hospital is required to do profiling of the patient before they can give the dose of the medication. Another thing which promoted the pharmacist role في الدرug information اللي هو the rise in the self-care movement. شو يعني the rise in the self-care movement? As I told you, now each one looks for the medication and his condition في الانترنت, and they started trying by themselves. It's very possible that they will consult the pharmacist regarding medication information. Growing use of complementary and alternative medicine. Now many of them they try herbal products, for example, and you know that less information is available regarding complementary and alternative medicine. يعني ما بتلاقوا clinical trials عليهم. Okay, you don't find clinical trials, a lot of clinical trials about them. So the information is scarce, يعني قليل. Okay, there's little information about this. Whatever information, we need to be able to look at them and assess them. And you as a pharmacist, is the best one to do that. طيب, you need also, as I said probably previously, you need to educate students on drug information concepts. Okay, and it has been asked, يعني في أمريكا في USA they asked that in the pharmacy curricula في برامج الصيدلة you must have drug information in such curricula. طيب, شو someone is asking me, okay, I want to work, where do I go, where can I work? You can work in institutional health system drug information service, يعني for example in a university that has drug information center, or in a hospital that has drug information center, or in the government, for example Abu Dhabi, they have drug information and poison center. Also, you might be contracted, okay, to do the service, or let's say a hospital contract a drug information center to do this service, to provide the drug information service for a fee. Also, you may work in Pharmacy Informatics, okay, in a health system. وحكيت لكم what do I mean by that. يعني we need a platform that can combine computerized provider order entry, electronic health record, clinical decision support system in a more user-friendly way. Managed care pharmacy, يعني whether retail pharmacy, hospital pharmacy, etc., where they manage the care. Okay, and طبعا لما نحكي managed care pharmacy نقصد فيه here trying to provide cost effective medication. في البويزن كنترول you can work. في الفارماسيوتيكال industry, let me talk about this one. Someone will ask me, okay, if I work in جلفار شو يعني what will I benefit from the drug information? بحكي له you'll benefit a lot. بحكي لي كيف؟ طيب بقول له for example I'll give you just a scenario. بتعرفوا انه جلفار like many other companies in the Middle East, they are referred to as generic companies. شو يعني generic companies? Generic companies mean that these companies do not bring a new drug وبيسووش clinical trials, okay, to prove whether the drug is effective or not. بعدين بيسووا لهم approval, then they approve the new drug. They don't do that. What they do, mainly they wait for already existing drugs في الماركت to lose the patency, انهم يفقدوا براءة الاختراع. شو يعني قصدي بيفقدوا براءة الاختراع؟ يعني if any company has a new drug وسووا له clinical trials و it's successful, then they need to approve it for marketing from FDA. Okay, usually once they register the patent, you know, we have an effective drug, they have 20 years exclusively, no one else can make the same drug ولا واحد ثاني. So when a company finds that a drug is effective, جربوا على animals and they find it that it's effective, بروحوا بيسجلوا طوالي ايش؟ This is a patent. بعدين بيبدأوا clinical trials عليه. After they do the clinical trials, which will maybe take some years, maybe 7 years, okay, then if it is successful they will approve it from FDA. بضل له قديش من ال 20 years؟ بعد 7 سنوات. After 7 years, from 20 years 13 years will remain. بدخلوه على السوق, so they will put it to the in the market, and after 13 years خلص بخلص ل 20 years. Now other companies can ايش؟ prepare the same drug entity, Okay, هذا الدراج they can do the same. Okay. آه طيب، في عنا what we call blockbuster drugs. خليني اكتب لكم اياها. blockbuster drugs. شوفوا, what is a blockbuster drug is an extremely popular drug that generates annual sales of at least 1 billion for the company. طيب خلونا نرجع هون للفارماسيوتيكال اندستري. شو ممكن يطلب منكم المدير؟ يقول لكم اوكي please tell me this year or next year شو هي blockbuster drugs اللي راح تفقد which will lose its patency. حضروا لي list because we want to do the same and start manufacturing it. لأنه إحنا generic company. Gilfar is a generic company. So they will have to wait for the patency to be lost for that drug. طيب, okay, you prepared a list. So they tell you, okay, we need to find what is the sale of that drug in UAE. إذا أنتم محتاجين ل information. طيب, we need to know what is the formulation of this drug because we need to do the same or similar formulation. طيب, مين بيسوي كل هالشغلات؟ اللي هو drug information specialist. He will do the search, he will find the information, etc. Okay. طيب, في الأكاديميا, for example, I am teaching you drug information. Okay, so you can work in academia. You might do prescription or training. If you are in a hospital and you have drug information there, you might do training to students. You might write professional presentations where you have drug information in this presentation to students. Okay. Also, it's very necessary for scientific writing and medical communication. And for scientific writing, inshallah, you will have enough tutorial about how to do scientific writing, inshallah, and you will learn about that more in details. I hope you like this lecture. And as you know, if you have any question, you have the chance, inshallah, to ask me in the next lecture. In the next lecture, I will give you an exercise to make sure that you understood everything that I presented in this video, and then you can ask me at that lecture anything that you like. Okay, bye bye.